Okay, the screen is visible clearly, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So this is in continuation to what we were discussing, right? I mean, they're two different topics, but uh, usually we prefer to do the idioms and phrases along with phrasal verbs. Now, the reason being that in case of idioms and phrases also, the meanings that they generate are quite idiomatic, right? Which means figurative, no literal meaning to any of the phrases or the idioms. Uh, the meanings that they can give you are idiomatic. That is something that is not constitutive of the individual meaning of the words that form the phrase or the idiom, right? Now, um, idioms by nature, like as the name suggests, they are going to, even the name itself has the word idiom in it. So definitely idiomatic meaning. But phrase, usually there's a question on why we say phrases and idioms. Some of the phrases, like, the last time we looked at phrasal verb. So some of the phrases, whether they're phrasal verbs or, some other kind of phrases, some of these phrases also can have meanings that are idiomatic in nature. Hence, the name idioms and phrases. Okay. Uh, is there a fundamental difference between the idioms and phrases? No, not much, right? So these are segments of languages which are used to enhance the fluency and the proficiency aspect. So they are not basic to communication, as in it's not absolutely necessary that you use these idioms and phrases in your communication. You can have good amount of information delivered, or you can communicate to a different person without using idioms and phrases also, right? Then what is the use of these things? They basically used to add variety and flavor to your language. Especially if you ask me, phrasal verbs like we looked at in the last class, they're usually something that we use in conversations, right? I told you that they're part of the conversational English. We use it mostly there. Similarly, these phrases and idioms, they can be used both in speaking, and they're also predominantly used in the writing part, right? So it's not strict, as in it's not like, you should only be using it in the writing part, unlike phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs, I told you last time that usually they are used only in the conversational English, and it's not recommended to be used so abundantly or so often in the formal written English. But in this case, you can use them in both the context for both writing and speaking. But you will see them mostly used in the writing part, because in the writing part, when you have to use the language in more figurative way, you see people using idioms and phrases more there, right? Uh, Okay. And the meaning of the phrase in idioms and phrase is basically what you understand as a phrase, right? So, what is a phrase? It refers to a group of words, right? A group of words that form the part of a clause or a sentence. The meaning is same, except the part that its figurative meaning is idiomatic, right? So, it's a particular kind of phrases
Ma'am,
which what
ma'am,
happened?
ma'am,
Yes.
can I, ma'am, can I say that phrases are this group of words
Hmm.
which describes a situation by giving an analogy, ma'am?
Um, In the case of phrases and idioms, yes, that is correct. But as in one of the meaning of the phrase would be that, but otherwise what a phrase is, right? So that meaning doesn't change. It's a part of a sentence or a clause generally. Like, for example, I say a new book, or I say to the parlor or to the college. These are all phrases, but not all phrases will have idiomatic meaning. Some of them are simple phrases, which you use as components to build a sentence. But the phrase in the idioms and phrases, they have some meaning, some figurative meaning on their own. And it could be analogic, it could be something else, it could be metaphor, it could be simile, it could be anything, right? Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And yeah. Okay, so that is basically idiom and phrase. In this class, we're going to look at some techniques that you may understand to see how you can learn the idioms and phrases, right? So the first of that would be, again, like I mentioned, because most of these are part of the conversational language, you will have to make sure that you listen more. You need to expose yourself more to this particular part. And what would you see? You're going to watch movies or plays or series or even reading books, right? And reading books, when you choose these things, keep in mind that if you're choosing non-fiction, right, then non-fiction will have less of idioms and phrases because they have a very different purpose, right? They're written to educate or they're written to inform, so on and so forth. So what happens, the language remains a little more direct and straightforward. They usually will not prefer using idioms and phrases much. But creative writing, fiction, some form of writing that is done for entertainment and pleasure, they will use a lot of such idioms and phrases, usually, right? Again, like I told, not hard and fast, but the usage would be mostly seen in that kind of writing as opposed to, say, something like a, non-fictional writing, right? So if you're somebody who's a beginner and who's trying to improve on these things, then these are the areas where you should be focusing on. These are the places you should be looking for this particular component of the language. That is, say, series or movies or plays, right? Or even songs. If you listen to the English songs, then they also make use of a lot of these phrases and idioms, right? Then maintaining an idioms diary and workbook. Again, when you're doing this diary thing or the workbook thing, it's not like, I learned 10, I took 10 phrases or 10 idioms and then I put it in a chart and I studied. One of the best method of maintaining this workbook would be to choose an area, right? Choose a subfield. Like, for example, say you're going to learn, you've decided to learn at least 10 or 20 idioms and phrases that is used at workplace. Okay. Or, for example, you decided to learn 10 or 20 idioms and phrases, which is used in day-to-day activities, right? Or say you are going to use it for sports, where, some of the phrases and idioms that are used in sports.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can idioms and phrases can be created by a person on their own, ma'am?
No, 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 no. You usually don't, because see, these are all you can, like, phrases. You can construct phrases, but idioms are usually something that that they're fixed. So you don't bring about changes to it. But phrases you can, yes, for sure. You can coin new phrases which has idiomatic meanings. That's absolutely possible. But idioms, no, right?
Yes, ma'am. And what is the difference between both, ma'am?
So phrases, like I told you, it could be any phrase. The basic understanding of a phrase is that it's a part of a sentence, or it can even independently exist. It's a group of words, right? When you add some idiomatic meaning to it, it becomes a phrase. Sorry, a phrase as in the one that you see in idioms and phrases, right? Otherwise, it's a normal phrase, like the example I gave you, right? A new book, a new toy. These are all examples of phrases, but they don't have any idiomatic meaning, no figurative meaning. But you can form phrases which can have that kind of meaning. Then it becomes a part of the idioms and phrases category. Otherwise, no. Idioms instead, they could be more, they can be longer versions of sentences, right? Like the proverbs or sayings, right? All of them constitute the idioms part. So there you don't bring about any change, but phrases, yes, you can coin new phrases. Okay, so the diary and the workbook part, again, like I was saying, don't just do it very in an indisciplined way. That is, don't just choose 10 idioms and phrases out of the blue and try to learn them. That will not help you much. When you're aiming to gain proficiency in this kind of language segments, what you should do is you should choose something that is relatable. Like, you choose an area like day-to-day activities. So, for example, if you're somebody who's good at sports, then you make a choice of that area, and then you write down or make a choice of that. You make a choice of that particular area, and then you decide that I'm going to be using 10 or 20 of phrases from this area or idioms from this area, and then learn that. Okay? So instead of randomly choosing the area that you need to study, you choose one particular area and then prepare 10 or 20 phrases that are used in that area and try to master it. Right? So that would be a better way to tackle this issue, because there are many, many idioms and phrases. Like there are too many of them. So trying to learn them all by heart would be not considered a recommended act, right? So either you will have to engage with the language a lot and then gain proficiency in that. But if you're a beginner, if it's relatively new to you, then you can identify 4 or 5 areas that you think would be uh, something that you indulge on a daily basis. It could be your day-to-day activities. It could be some thing like workplace, right? Or it could be something that is related to a favorite activity that you like. So you choose that area and then write down 10 or 20 idioms and phrases that are used in that area, right? So for example, if you're somebody who likes watching news or reading news, then you make a list of some of the idioms and phrases that are used very commonly in that area, right? So that way you will be able to slowly and gradually acquire some proficiency in that area. Don't try to, mug up 100 of them together. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So that is about how you maintain the idioms diary and the workbook, right? Next is another technique that you can use is you can try and weave a story of your most favorite one. So one is that you choose a few area and then write down 10, 20 of them in each of that area. Another way is that you choose 10 of them, right? Say 10 or 20 of the most favorite ones, the ones that you think will be useful to you. You take it and then to remember them, you weave a story out of it. Try to visualize the idiom and the metaphor. I'll give you example. There are some of them here on the screen. So if you do that, then that way also you can retain the idioms and phrases better. Look at your screen. Do you see all of those idioms? Cat got your tongue? Snug as a bug in a rug. Go the extra mile. Butterflies in my stomach. To go down in flames. Once in a blue moon. Any of these? Are you familiar with any of the ones that you see on screen? Have you heard any one of them before?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, which one have you heard before?
Once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon. Have you not heard this one, the butterflies in my stomach phrase?
Yes, ma'am. I have heard it in Tamil,
This
which
also you
means
have heard, right?
yes,
I
ma'am.
think these are very common. Sorry,
But the meaning is different, ma'am.
meaning is different. What is the meaning that you have heard for butterflies in my stomach?
Ma'am, but butterflies in the stomach means after we eat very full.
Like that? No, no. So see, the one in English actually, I don't think it ever has had a meaning like that. I don't know which one are you referring to. But butterflies in stomach usually in the English context means to feel nervous. I thought, you butterflies in the stomach means to be afraid, but that's not right. Actually, that's a different phrase. Butterflies in stomach is usually referring to nervousness. For example, say you're going to onto the stage to give a speech or to sing a song or something, and maybe you have a performance, or maybe say you're going to go and attend an interview. You're going for an exam, right? So at that time, you butterflies in your stomach basically means you feel nervous. To express the idea of nervousness, you use the phrase butterflies in the stomach. Okay, that is the actual usage of the phrase. Okay, if you don't know, make a note of this. This is to feel nervous. And then once in a blue moon, yes, you know what is the thing. It is usually used to refer to an event or an appearance that happens very rarely, right? Something that is not very common to be seen everywhere, right? So that is your once in a blue moon. And how about this one? Go the extra mile. How about that?
Yes, ma'am. But in some
Uh,
movies,
in movies. To go the extra mile means to do that extra thing that is required, make that additional effort to get something done, right? So see, like you can see from the examples that we have here, some of these phrases and idioms, you can guess the meaning from the words that they use there. Like, for example, go the extra mile, it's a little easier to guess its meaning. But that's not the case with, say, cat got your tongue, right? Even snug as a bug in a rug or butterflies in my stomach, because these are things that you can feel, right? And once in a blue moon, these are all something that can give you contextual meaning. You look at the metaphor, or sorry, look at the phrase and idiom, and you can guess, okay, this could be, something related to this. The meaning can be somewhere near to this. We know that. But something like cat got your tongue is not uh, is not very easy to understand the meaning of that, because if you look at the literal meaning, what is it? The literal meaning is what is shown on the picture. You see that there's a cat that is holding on to the tongue, right? But the metaphorical meaning is what? When somebody asks cat got your tongue, basically they're asking, why can't you speak? Right? Why can't you speak? Right? So there are all kinds of category. Now I spoke of this while we were talking about phrasal verb also. Some phrasal verb, you can guess the meaning from the words that are used in the combination, extended meaning. So similarly, in the case of idioms and phrase also, some of it you can guess the meaning, right, from the words that's used, but not all, right? Okay, snug as a bug in a rug. Look at the visual representations, right? Warm and cozy. And then to go down in flames, to fail spectacularly, right? So one method is this, that when you have a phrase or an idiom, you can try to visualize it and then try and understand what it means. Okay. You can still see the screen clearly, right? No problem with that, right? Prithvi, are you still able to see the screen properly? Yes, no? Prithvi, are you here? Yeah, can you see the screen clearly?